Well, good damn afternoon, Americans. Jericho Green here with you once again. Do not forget, this is 100% viewer funded. There's no me if there's no you. I have no plan B. I have no backup parachute. This is it. So please do me a favor. Reach all the way up inside of your generosity to the elbow. Pull something out for me. It's greatly appreciated. Links will be in the description box. Let me hydrate real quick. So, I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but the table is being set. We are being bent over and oiled up to be fucked. What do I mean? In Illinois today, it is no longer a cash bail state. Throughout the state, everywhere in the state of Illinois, Chicago, and beyond, there is no longer cash bail. So what does that mean? That means that now, or in the old system, the judge would determine based on the charges, based on your past transgressions, what your bail would be. And if you had the money to pay, you're out of here. If you didn't have the money, you had to sit there in jail until your trial. And the prosecution and defense would present their evidence, or the prosecution would present their evidence. Defense would try to present evidence to the contrary, and then the judge would make their decision. But now, there is no bail. So unless you're an extremely violent criminal, unless they found you gripping the butcher knife with blood dripping off of you, you're probably going to go free. This includes domestic violence. This includes stalking. This includes gun charges. All of those things you can walk. And now most of the burden falls on the prosecution. They have to come with clear cut, no questions about it, no doubt evidence, just to keep the person in jail until trial. Now, some people are saying that this will cause the court system to lean on electronic monitoring, the ankle bracelets, because, criminals will always obey that shit. But what this is going to do, and I think it's even deeper than that, I think it's all about their new voting block, because you notice Chicago is being flooded with illegals. They're reopening closed down buildings and schools, revamping them, redesigning them, cleaning them up, throwing a fresh coat of paint so these illegals have somewhere to hang out until they can find a more permanent living situation. Probably in the house that you're living in now. Probably in the house next door, black folks in Chicago. So I think this is more for that. I'm going to do a video after this about the governor of New York, Kathy, who gives a shit, the demon, where now it's the law that you can vote via mail for the 2024 election. So I think what they're doing is they're putting the final nail in the coffin for the American Negro. I've talked about it many times. You're no longer necessary. They're piping in their new voting block. So what does it take for the illegals to put down roots in these black neighborhoods? Well, first of all, the illegals are going to do a lot of this, okay? They don't abort their babies like we do. They're going to do a lot of that. A lot of them are coming here pregnant already, the ones who aren't 20-some-year-old war-age men. And number two, they have to drive the black folks out of the neighborhood because, again, they need more permanent housing. They got to live somewhere. They got to have somewhere to start having all these babies and their families and chain migration and bring all of their relatives from back home. So what are they going to do? You can't have these illegals being locked up in jail. They got to be out on the street gentrifying those neighborhoods, harassing and beating and running off the black folk. Maxine Waters, a.k.a. James Brown's stunt double, she's like, hey, I can help you. Illinois, I can help you. I've been gentrifying black neighborhoods for decades. Neighborhoods and homes where it was black all the way back to the beginning of Los Angeles. Right after World War II. The black GIs had to live somewhere. Maxine Waters is like, no, 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 Illinois, I can help you. I know exactly how to run off the Negro. I've allowed these racist Mexican gangs to fester and metastasize and terrorize the black people in these neighborhoods until they move. You have to, these politicians, these empty suits, these crooks, they have to allow the illegal to nest. You ever see a female animal nesting when she's about to give birth? Some of you might not know this, but I grew up on a hog ranch. I don't know, we must have had 10, 15, 20 hogs. And when the mothers would get ready for birth, we put fresh sawdust in there for them. We put a little heating lamp in there for them, and they would start nesting. They start rooting around and making piles and clearing things out because they're about to give birth. That's what these illegals are doing. They need to nest. You need to clear. Get these gross black folks, get these Negroes out of my sight. We need to make a home. We need to make a nest area for our new voting bloc to keep us in power forever. Got to get these black folks out of here. In order to do that, you can't have the illegals. You can't have the gentrifiers being locked up. They need to be free. And an added bonus to that, they can allow the black criminal to help. We don't need you guys locked up. You also need to terrorize the neighborhood. You also need to gun these black people down. Because if we can't move them, we got to murder them. Right? If we don't catch them in the womb, oh, you got past me. You little nappy-headed son of a bitch. You got past me at the hospital. You're born. But as soon as you get in that war zone of a neighborhood, I guarantee you, we're going to take most of you out. But once we're done with that, once we're done with the violent Negro taking out other Negroes, let's bring in the illegals. Let them put down roots. Let them take hold in this community and make it their own. Black folks, I don't know where you're going to go. Off to the burbs, I guess. No more cash bail. That means they go in, they see the judge, they get their picture taken, a little fingerprint, and they're out. The victim's still out there sweeping up the glass, going like this to their wounds in the mirror, still crying, and the crook is back out. Why do they do this? Why do they say that they do it? Well, you've heard this a million times. Because cash bail disproportionately affects the black and brown and the poor. That's why. So what they want you to think is these black and brown people and these poor people, they're just getting caught up in the system and they should be allowed to go home until their trial date. It's not fair that if you don't have the money, you got to stay in jail. Because somebody with money, they can just get out of jail. Rich people, they can just bail out. They haven't even, the ink hasn't dried on their fingerprints yet, and they're on their way home because they got money. I say, if you don't like the justice system and it doesn't work for you and you don't like the way it's set up and it's run, stay the fuck out of it. Don't commit crimes. But Jericho, if you're poor, you got to sell drugs and do what you can. Bullshit. There have been studies done of poor neighborhoods that don't have rampant crime, that don't have murder rates skyrocketing. It's not the poverty. Yes, if there are no jobs or a little bit of jobs, you got to get creative. Sure. But you don't need to get criminalistic. You don't need to get violent. Poverty does not give you carte blanche to fuck people's lives up and sell dope and kill people and rob people. What? Poverty is not an excuse for that. There are plenty of poor people who are upstanding citizens, but they don't want you to think that. They don't want you to know the truth. They hate that T word. So what they're going to tell you is they're picking on the black and brown and the poor will keep your black, brown, poor ass out of the fucking justice system. Boy, I know they call it the Wild Wild West, but this is about to be the Wild Wild Midwest. You're gonna let criminals stay out until they're supposed to go to jail? What do you think they're gonna do? What about the witnesses? What about the witness that comes out and says, yes, he's the one who did it? Oh, I'm sorry, what? He's gonna be free? I'm gonna come out of my front door and see him on the sidewalk after I just told on him? Nothing could go wrong there, Illinois. Pittsburgh, you are a life-size piece of shit. I'll see you in the comment section. But you know how it goes. I try to be done with the left, but they just won't let me. Please subscribe. Hit that notification bell because every time it rings, a piece of shit lefty cries. Utilize the Linktree link. Get your ass over to JerichoGreen.net. Hit that Teespring link for some merch. I am Jericho Green. Man, I'm out.